first Archbishop of Canterbury. While we were at Lambeth this summer, I had the privilege of walking in the same places that he walked. In St. Martin's Church, which was his first church. In the Abbey, which he established in Canterbury, at least in the ruins of the Abbey. Being good Anglicans, by the way, we had a cocktail party there, so just with the Archbishop. So I just thought you'd find that interesting. To walk on those grounds where Augustine walked, to be connected to my own history in a very real way, was critical to me. But it all depended on Augustine's willingness to say yes to God in the most uncomfortable circumstances. We are not unlike him. In many ways, we live a very comfortable existence. We who live in the 21st century. But God frequently calls us to continue to renew ourselves by expanding our experience. God calls us outside of our comfort zone. You know, we are Episcopalians, and I can make you uncomfortable with one word. I know that. It's the E word. I can always watch people in the pews begin to shift when I talk about evangelism, that great E word. But God calls us to that. That's our mission. That's who we are as God's people. We're people who are sent into the world. I mean, think about what we're doing here today. At the end of it, what happens? Somebody will send us back into the world to carry out our work. The work of the church does not take place in church. The work of the church takes place in the world. Augustine discovered the work of the church did not take place in the monastery. His greatest discovery in his mission to the Anglo-Saxon people was that God's work takes place when people engage other people. That is the work, that is the mission, that is the charge that God gives every one of us. You see, what you see is not what you get. What you see is a world that's broken and torn. But when you're willing to be God's living mission in the world around you, what you get is transformation, healing, restoration, the old being made new. What a gift, what a privilege that God calls us to be a part of it. And so when you're dismissed today, never forget that God is sending you again out of this place to touch the lives of everyone who lives in this community, everyone who is a part of your work communities. You are God's transforming mission sent into the world. Every one of us talks about wanting the world to be different. The reality is the world can only be different if I'm willing to be different. If every one of us choose to allow God to renew us and renew his mission through us, then our world can in fact be transformed. It has hope. And you and I are that hope. We are the signs, the living signs, that God's world isn't yet complete. I mean, I think about it. If God can make me a bishop, just think what he could do with you. He's got so much power. And so, when you hear us being dismissed, stand up and leave the church. And I know we are Episcopalians. We don't go into the world when we're dismissed. We go have coffee first. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But in many ways, I think that we ought to have the dismissal at the end of coffee. Because sometimes we forget why we come together. We come together to gain strength, to be sent out apart. Our mission is in the world. There is no other place where the ministry of the church belongs than in the broken and torn world. And so I just pray that we can live up to the kind of courage that Augustine had summoned to make that second trip. We give thanks for his witness to us. We give thanks for his ministry to the Anglo-Saxon people. We give thanks to the father in many ways of the English church in modern times. Without him, we would not be as new as we are. We would not be as vital as we are. We would not be Anglicans. Amen. Amen.